Welcome to Broken Bushcraft. Today we're going to talk about toggles, what they're used for, and how to make them. Simple skill, but it's a very important one to have. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share. Let's kick this off. What is a toggle? Well, per the definition, a toggle is a small piece of wood or plastic or metal that is inserted through an object, twisted, and then held as a fastener. It's a simple skill, simple tool, but it's used a lot, especially when you're using certain types of knots or you're using your grommets. It takes a little strain off of those. So let's show you how to do this first, and then we'll talk about what you use it for. Different types of toggles. You have metal, plastic, wood, etc. If you're not comfortable with your knife skills, then what you can simply do is go out and buy some tent stakes and use these as your anchor points. Or you can go snip a branch off of a tree, make sure it's smooth so it slides out of the anchor point efficiently. But yeah, the old saying goes, why take what you can make? What Chippy says is make your life comfortable. If you can make your life easier, especially in an emergency situation, then the less you have to worry about, the less stress you're under. But we are making them today. I'm gonna make them out of fat wood today. And the reason I love making my toggles out of fat wood is because it serves two purposes. One is it's water resistant because it's absorbed with all that pine resin. Two is if I'm in a dire situation, I now have a fire starter that's proven every time is fat wood. So it's a dual purpose item. So I got my fat wood here. I want to figure out where I'm gonna make my toggle at. So if you see this, it has already a small portion right here that's thinned out. I'm gonna work on that. Okay, I forgot to push play. So I have my fat wood here. I've decided that this part's gonna be my toggle. You can take your sharp knife, and easiest way to kind of round this out is find any of the corner edges and just pull your knife along, almost like you're making a feather stick, and just go smooth around. It's like 1,000 tiny cuts, that's it. And then you're gonna rough shape it out, and then we'll talk about how to make the tip and then how to make the hole for our cord. So I'll be back with you in a second. So because this was a fat piece down here, I had to baton this down a bit. Remember, when you are using your knives to whittle, you're being very cautious about where your fingers are. Trust me, I have plenty of little nicks and cuts from me not paying attention, so that's not bad. Now, let's talk about the end here. I like mine to be dulled so I can use it for a multitude of different things. So we're just gonna bring this down. Just straight cuts in a circle so you get kind of a dull tip like such. You can take a rock and just rub it on that, and that will smooth that out just a little bit more. Now, we have to punch a hole in it. If you have a Swiss Army knife that has an awl on it, which is like this small little punch blade, then you can simply push this in. I started already, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's like second take. You're gonna push this in and just twist. Okay? Now, be careful of where this is, because if it slips out, it's gonna go right into your finger. Now, if you don't have this, and you only have your knife, you're gonna take your knife, too much coffee, and you're just gonna spin it in here. If you are punching out with your knife, understand that your knife is bigger than the wood. So you're gonna have to go to this side at some point, and you're gonna have to have two holes meet up in the middle. Now that we have our hole set, we can take our cordage. I'm gonna use bank line instead of 550. And all you have to do is tie a stop knot on one side of it. Tie it tight, pull it down, it should not go through. There you go, there's your basic toggle. Now, if you don't want to do the hole, you can simply do a half hitch on here, or you can wrap it a whole bunch of times and just tie a knot. You know, if you don't know a knot, tie a lot. So there it is. Now let's talk about how to use it. How do we use these toggles? Well, you see the grommets we put into our tarp. Let me show you something on this. So I have tied, originally I had tied to my tarp. So it's a single point right here. Now, if you see right there, it's starting to pull down from where it was before. So these are damaging my tarp. Let's get rid of these things. So I clean that out. How we're gonna use this toggle, we're gonna slip it through. This is just a little big, gotta work it in there. And then we can tie this out, and this pressure is being distributed. These grommets are really cheap on this tarp. I have to replace those. So you see now that this is pulling on the whole grommet, or at least half the grommet, and not just pulling on the bottom half here. So that's one way we can use these toggles to hold our tents out instead of tying to our tarps and damaging them. Some other uses for toggles is if you have a wide one and you have a lantern or a pot over a tripod, you could put this underneath through here and it'll hold your lantern or your tripod up. One of the uses I've used it for probably the most besides anchoring things is my canteen. If I'm boiling water, I don't have my Leatherman to grab this. I don't have gloves. I don't want to knock it over. So I simply take my toggle, I drop it in, make sure it hooks, pull it out, and set it down, let it cool off. That's how to make and use a toggle, some of the uses. Let your imagination run wild. One of the most important things I didn't talk about was just by carving a toggle, you can do this sitting around a campfire, or if you're stranded somewhere, it's just something to keep your mind busy, or just take your mind off of something. It's really just a simple task. But it's a couple important cuts. You're learning how to round out an object from a square object, and you're learning how to round out your tips. Two really good skills. You can make these pointed if you want to, whatever. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed that. And I'll see you in the woods. Don't forget, if you're using fat wood, don't throw away your shavings. It'll smell good.